Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We might getting very fast closer to a Russian nuclear weapon use. And why is that? If you remember Russia's doctrine of using nuclear weapons, one of these points, I think they have four, is if the Russian state is in danger of collapsing, or you are attacked by and your state is going to disintegrate. Now, obviously, that could be considered a subjective reason, because you can feel threatened by things to a certain level, and you interpret them like that in order to activate that. So what happens? The Russians issue an national emergency in Kursk region, because the Ukrainians entered Russia. Some hundreds of Ukrainian military entered Russia in Kursk region. I will show you a map and 4 articles. And the Russians call it, Russia declares an emergency in Kursk. Now you can say, well, it's just an emergency in one of their oblasts, or however they call it. But if you interpret it differently, then you allow yourself to activate certain protocols of use of nuclear weapons. And that would speed up the process of ending this garbage. I'm not for it, but the Americans did it twice, and they justified it as saving our boys' life and ending the war short. And it was good because they were the forces of good. All right, let's go to this little article. This is coming from Associated Press. Russia declares an emergency in Kursk under attack by Ukraine. All right, and immediately they add something else. I will read just the first paragraph here. Kiev, Russia declared a federal level emergency in Kursk region following a large-scale incursion from Ukraine, and sent reinforcement there on Friday, 4 days after hundreds of Ukrainian troops poured across the border in what appeared to be Kiev's biggest attack on Russian soil since the war began. Well, that's how war is. You punch, sometimes you got punched back. So we have this, Ukraine, and we have this from Sputnik. Build-up of Russia's forces fighting in Kursk region underway 6 hours ago. And this is a Formula One truck going with Ayrton Senna towards the finish line in Kursk. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Friday that it was building up forces who were engaged in active hostilities against Ukrainian formations in the Sudzha district of the Kursk region by sending tanks and other heavy tracked military equipment there. That means the shit hit the fan over there. And I'm going, the columns marching to the areas of the tasks include the BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher systems towards the towed artillery guns, tanks transported on trolls, heavy tracked vehicles, Ural and Kamzaz vehicles. The ministry said in a statement. The ministry also posted a footage showing the movement of the military equipment towards the Kursk region. And this is the map. This is where it occurred. And I have another article to discuss, which is right here, Sputnik. I will show you the map again. Bear with me. Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region puts European Union's energy stability at risk, activist. The Kiev regime's attack into Russia's Kursk region, where the Sudzha gas transfer and measuring station is located, may have far-reaching repercussions for the European Union. Andros Simo, the president of the Hungarian Community for Peace, tells Sputnik. And I'm quoting, the penetration of Ukrainian troops into the territory of Russia with American encouragement. Well, it doesn't have to be encouraged. You fight these guys, you don't need encouragement. And their potential occupation of the Sudzha station could sensitively affect EU members Hungary and Slovakia, Simo says. Why? Remember the Ukrainians, my bad. I should come and punch me. I deserve that a few times though, not only one time. The guys in charge of the Ukrainian nation decided to stop the transit of oil from Russia towards Slovakia and Hungary. Why? Because Slovakia and Hungary disagree with the script given by the Americans and the guys in charge of the Americans. Okay? So therefore, we're gonna hurt them like that, like you do with a child. Well, if you don't clean your room, I'm not going to give you candies. You're not going to go and watch, I don't know what kind of cartoons, your favorite cartoons. You're not going to go outside. That is, just a little threat. This is what's going to happen. Therefore, you have to change your behavior. But I am in charge. So someone is in charge of deciding that Hungary and Slovakia should change their policy, their interest based on someone else's interest. Therefore, we're going to hurt you, all right, that way. First, there's all kind of levels. When you tie the screw harder and harder, this is just one of them. You're playing with the Hungarian and Slovak society, but they want to do that so the standard of living over there will decrease, will get worse, and then these guys will topple the government in a peaceful uprising with the help of certain outside agencies. That happened in Romania in 1989. That happened in Ukraine in 2014. That happened in many, many areas. It was tried in other areas as well. So let's go to the map and see where this thing happened. Right here. So this is the area where the Ukrainians are counterattacking, how you want to call it. So this is obviously Ukraine here. This is the contact line. This is the Black Sea. And let's see if we can do here. Like that. So this is where these guys are trying to invade, which is their right because they are also attacked by the other guys. Now, obviously, the brothers are fighting for foreign interests, and unfortunately, the Ukrainians are, some Ukrainians understand that, and some Ukrainians don't understand that. And on the foundation of a hatred that was fanned or fueled for years and generations towards the Russians, and probably vice versa, the Malo Russians, how the Russians call them, are thinking that they're going to pay back the Russians all the pain that the Russians inflicted on them. Like, if we are to use the same imbecilic logic that these guys are using it for people to conflate Russia with Soviet Union, then, which is garbage because the Soviet Union was not Russia. We say USSR was Russia. Well, okay, if it was Russia, why was Ukraine provided with territories from other countries, like from Poland, from Romania, from Hungary, and even from Russia? The Crimean Peninsula was given by Mr. Khrushchev to Ukraine. Khrushchev, I think, has a Ukrainian mother. But anyway, so where are the Russians? Until 1950, the end of Khrushchev era, how many Russians were in charge of Soviet Union? I can tell you, zero. So where the biggest crimes of the Soviet Union occurred were before the 1960s. And all that was owned by Lenin. Mr. Ulyanov was not a Russian. He was a Russian as much as I am Jewish, okay? Or, I don't know, Zimbabwean, as I like to say it. Then you have Stalin, the man of steel, Mr. Djugashvili, a Georgian, by the way. And I said Lenin, which actually was Trotsky, Mr. Bronstein, was his name? Bronstein? Yeah, remember when the so-called, not when the so-called, before the Bolshevik Revolution started, it was the Russian revolution in Tsarist Russia. Before the Bolshevik hijacked it. You know when Mr. Leon Bronstein, aka Trotsky, was? Yes, exactly. His brothers in New York. What was he doing over there? Not celebrating Hanukkah or anything. No. He was over there asking for money from some bankers. For what? For the Bolshevik Revolution. Where was Lenin, Mr. Ulyanov, when the revolution occurred over in Tsarist Russia? He was, if I remember, in Zurich. He was in Switzerland. How did he get over there to St. Petersburg? On a train that had straight direction through the entire war from Switzerland to St. Petersburg on a German train. So the Germans sent him over there. And Germany, what happened to Germany? Said, well, we lost the war. They never lost the war. The Germans, if you look at the First World War, they didn't. The army did not receive from the guys behind them what they need. Oh, that's a stab in the back. Well, things are not as simple as these guys are telling us to be. Okay, the Germans, remember when it was the armistice, remember in Trianon, the Germans did not have foreign military occupying any of their territories that they had prior to the war. And when you ask someone who lost the First World War, they will tell you Germany. But Germany was not part of the initial guys. It was Austria-Hungary and Serbia. But somehow the Germans lost it. All right, that's one of the little mysteries. Again, we won the Cold War. And how the story goes, how did we win the Cold War? And the story goes, we outspent the Soviets. That's how the story. Things are more complex than that. Yeah, that's part of the whole reason why. The big part was an understanding between those guys and these guys, organized and mediated by the guys in charge of us right now. And that's not the US government. The same guys. And that is the power of finance. All right, my friends. So the Russians are instituting this little emergency, and they call it what? Federal emergency. That means they could say, well, these guys are destroying us and we're gonna use something to them up. And I suspect they might go that way. And they might go this way because if the Russians are going towards Kiev, NATO will intervene, saying, oh, we have to for them. And then the Russians will say, okay, we're going to do this. And they will escalate. The escalation goes over there. That's why discussing what the Russians tried in 2021. And this guy said, nah, just to do it, we're waiting. We have so many campaign donating companies who are going to make, or which are going to make a kill by your invasion of Ukraine. We are waiting, and we are on the payroll of the people who elected us, and the bureaucrats who work for the guys who appointed them, and the guys who won the elections had the money to run, and they were picked by okay, don't go further than that. Emil on this video. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Where are you? Here.